You think you procrastinate because you're lazy, because you're not disciplined enough, or perhaps because you lack motivation. But deep down, you know it's not that simple. Have you ever stopped and considered that the real reason you avoid discipline isn't because you're weak or incapable, but because there's a part of you secretly terrified of who you might become if you truly commit? Why is it that every time you promise yourself you'll change, you're the first to break that promise? You set clear intentions, make plans, even feel determined, yet somehow find yourself sliding back into old patterns of self-sabotage, comfort, and familiarity. But here's the hard truth you rarely admit. It's not your mistakes or shortcomings that keep you awake at night. It's the promises you continually break to yourself. It's the quiet regret that accumulates every time you choose comfort over courage, hesitation over commitment. Have you ever paused to ask yourself what you're truly avoiding when you neglect discipline? Carl Jung once said that what you resist doesn't disappear, it accumulates deep within, becoming a psychological burden you carry unconsciously. So ask yourself now, directly and honestly, what are you resisting each time you postpone the discipline you know you need? What hidden fear are you silently trying to escape? If you've struggled repeatedly with discipline, constantly fighting against yourself, stay with me, because what you're about to uncover may completely change the way you understand your own behavior. Your lack of discipline is not about effort or capability. It's rooted in something far deeper, hidden beneath the surface. It's about a quiet, internal conflict you haven't fully faced yet, one that's waiting patiently for your recognition. Keep listening, because understanding this hidden truth is precisely what will empower you to finally break the cycle and step into the person you've always known you could become. You've often labeled yourself as lazy, procrastinating, or undisciplined. But have you ever stopped and asked yourself what lies beneath this constant hesitation? The truth is deeper than laziness or lack of motivation. It's a reflection of a fragmented soul, a divided self, deeply wounded and silently longing to be acknowledged. Your avoidance of discipline isn't merely an unwillingness to act. It's a symptom of inner division. One part of you passionately desires change, urging you forward toward growth and fulfillment, while another silently pulls you backward, whispering doubts and fears into your mind. Have you ever noticed this quiet but intense internal struggle, like two different people living within you, both desperately vying for control? Think about the simplest goal you've set, perhaps starting to exercise regularly, eating healthier, or even just waking up earlier. Each evening you promise yourself, tomorrow will be different. Yet when tomorrow comes, you find yourself surrendering again, feeling helpless and frustrated. This endless loop isn't random. It's psychological projection warfare. Deep inside, you unconsciously sabotage yourself, projecting fear onto your own potential. Your hesitation isn't because you lack skill or desire. It's because stepping fully into discipline means accepting responsibility for becoming someone new, someone strong, capable, and accountable. Have you ever recognized this subtle war against yourself, where you unknowingly become your own worst enemy? Now consider how nostalgia plays into this dynamic. Every time you attempt meaningful change, there's a gentle pull, a quiet longing back toward the comfort of your old self. You find yourself idealizing your past, remembering it as easier, simpler, less stressful. Perhaps you attempted a career change, a significant lifestyle shift, or committed to a new habit. Yet, just as you move forward, you felt an irresistible draw backward, romanticizing the version of yourself who never had to confront real discipline or responsibility. Imagine a person finally stepping out of a long-held job to pursue their true passion. Almost immediately, uncertainty creeps in, and they find themselves fondly recalling the stability, ease, and familiarity of the past, wondering if they've made a mistake. They become trapped on a psychological train of nostalgia, riding backward toward comfort, instead of forward toward growth. Have you ever found yourself romanticizing your old self? Not because it was better, but simply because it felt safer, easier, less demanding? But perhaps the most profound and subtle tactic you employ against yourself is manufactured vulnerability, the deliberate creation of internal crises to justify your resistance to discipline. Just as you finally gather the courage to change, something inside you mysteriously generates excuses, sudden fatigue, overwhelming stress, an unexpected emotional crisis, any reason to avoid stepping into responsibility. You become the director of small psychological dramas, creating scenes that conveniently force you back into the role of victim. Carl Jung famously called this phenomenon weaponizing vulnerability. Unknowingly, you transform your inner struggles into powerful weapons, strategically placed obstacles to prevent you from facing your true self and the responsibility that comes with it. Reflect honestly. Have you ever found yourself crafting crises, magnifying minor setbacks, or amplifying emotional exhaustion precisely when you were about to truly commit to positive change? In truth, your hesitation and avoidance of discipline aren't rooted in laziness. They stem from deep-rooted emotional wounds accumulated over years. Perhaps in your past, your efforts were criticized, your dreams mocked, or your potential diminished. These experiences caused the disciplined, committed part of your psyche to retreat into your subconscious, hidden beneath the surface as a shadow self, longing for recognition. When you procrastinate, you aren't simply avoiding tasks. You are unconsciously protecting yourself from repeating those painful experiences. You fear that becoming disciplined, responsible, and successful might lead to criticism, rejection, or greater expectations, thus forcing your disciplined self into exile. Understand clearly. The lack of discipline you're experiencing is not merely about lacking self-control or motivation. It's about the fear of stepping fully into your authentic self, of embracing your true potential and accepting the responsibility and challenges that come along with it. It's a spiritual rejection of your own greatness. Take a moment now and ask yourself honestly, have you been trading your long-term fulfillment for short-term comfort because deep inside you're afraid of facing who you could truly become? Have you realized that beneath your continual hesitation lies not a lack of desire, but a hidden fear of your own strength, your own power, your own accountability? When you truly see that your struggles with discipline are rooted in emotional and psychological fragmentation, you'll stop blaming yourself, stop labeling yourself as lazy or weak, and start seeing yourself compassionately. You'll recognize that becoming disciplined isn't about forcing yourself into rigid habits. Instead, it's about the gentle yet profound process of healing, of integration, of bringing together your fragmented parts into one unified whole. Remember clearly, true discipline is not merely effort or struggle. It is psychological architecture. It is the internal alignment reflected in your actions, choices, and commitments. Every time you betray your own promises, you don't just fail at tasks, you reinforce a fragmented identity. Conversely, each small moment of consistency, each decision you keep for yourself strengthens the architecture of your soul, restoring your inner unity and confidence. Carl Jung emphasized that true growth and healing come from facing, accepting, and integrating the parts of ourselves we've avoided. The journey toward discipline, then, is not about punishment or forcing yourself into discomfort. It's about facing those neglected parts within yourself with courage and compassion, reclaiming the self you've always meant to become. So now, reflect deeply. Are you ready to embrace responsibility not as a burden, but as an act of profound self-respect? Are you prepared to welcome the disciplined, committed part of you back home? No longer exiled, but fully integrated into your identity? Because ultimately, discipline is not external. It's a sacred return to your truest self. You will never rise above the identity you've silently assigned yourself. Consider this deeply. No matter how many new strategies, plans, or routines you adopt, if deep inside your own mind, you still label yourself as someone who always procrastinates, someone who never follows through, someone who can't trust their own promises, you will unknowingly sabotage every genuine effort toward meaningful change. This isn't merely about lack of motivation or laziness. It's about the deeper, hidden narrative you keep replaying internally, defining who you think you are. Imagine for a moment that discipline doesn't come from dramatic moments of inspiration, but from the quietest, smallest decisions you make day after day. Those subtle yet profound moments when you finally stop running from yourself and turn inward to face the parts of you that you've long ignored. Real transformation isn't loud, it's quiet, almost invisible, but deeply transformative. It happens the moment you stop seeking validation from outside and begin genuinely listening to the silent wisdom within. It's the moment you finally confront that quiet whisper that asks, how much longer will you keep abandoning yourself? Have you noticed how often you feel anxious, guilty, or disappointed in yourself? Have you realized that this discomfort might not be punishment, but rather a clear sign from your deeper self signaling that you are now ready to wake up? All the frustration, insecurity, and shame you feel, these emotions are not random. They're purposeful messengers, subtly guiding you toward the truth about who you really are and what you genuinely desire. Reflect deeply. Every time you procrastinate, every time you delay your true potential, you're not simply avoiding tasks. You're actively practicing a form of self-betrayal, reinforcing an identity that keeps you trapped in an endless loop of disappointment. But here's the powerful insight you must embrace. This pattern is not permanent. It's not inevitable. It's simply a learned response. An old story that you've replayed so often, you mistakenly believe it's your truth. Imagine discipline as something far more profound than willpower or forced routines. Instead, think of it as a quiet inner architecture, an internal structure built moment by moment, action by action, promise by promise. Every small commitment kept, every quiet decision to move forward instead of retreating, adds strength to this inner foundation. Conversely, every broken promise, every moment you allow yourself to slip back into comfort and familiarity, quietly reinforces the false identity you've been carrying. Ask yourself right now, honestly, have you ever truly recognized the deeper reason behind your constant procrastination? Have you understood that your resistance isn't about laziness, but rather a fear of fully stepping into the disciplined, empowered version of yourself that you know you're capable of becoming? Consider a simple yet profound image. Your discipline is not a thunderstorm of dramatic changes. It's the subtle and steady rhythm of your breathing, the quiet space between your decisions. It's the silence within you when you finally stop fleeing from responsibility and instead begin embracing the version of you who genuinely cares, who keeps promises, who acts in alignment with your deeper values. Now look carefully at the fragmented identity you've carried so long. One part of you desperately wants to grow, to achieve, to become disciplined, while another deeply fears the responsibility, the commitment, the possibility of failure. These two aspects within you constantly struggle, and each act of procrastination, each hesitation, is a manifestation of this internal battle. You're not just delaying tasks, you're delaying your own self-integration and wholeness. Carl Jung called this inner struggle integration, the essential task of bringing together the parts of yourself you've neglected, feared, or misunderstood. The lack of discipline you're experiencing is a clear symptom of an unintegrated psyche, a fragmented self struggling for coherence. And the way forward is not through punishment or criticism, but through gentle awareness and radical honesty about the parts of yourself you've kept hidden and unacknowledged. When you begin to see discipline as an act of integration, as a gentle yet firm commitment to aligning your actions with your deepest self, everything begins to shift. You no longer view discipline as a harsh demand or obligation. You see it as the truest expression of self-respect and self-love. Every time you choose discipline, you're actively healing the divided self within. You're bridging the gap between who you've been and who you are truly meant to become. Consider this powerful question carefully and honestly. Are you prepared to acknowledge and forgive the part of you that's been resistant, fearful, and hesitant? Are you ready to stop blaming yourself for procrastination and instead recognize it as a silent call from within, urging you toward greater self-awareness and integration? Your true awakening lies precisely in this moment, this quiet, powerful recognition of your inner fragmentation and the courageous decision to finally unite your divided self. Remember, there is no such thing as being too late on your journey towards self-discovery and self-mastery. The truth is, you have always been exactly where you needed to be, even when you felt lost. Your life doesn't measure success by external benchmarks. It moves according to your inner rhythm, your internal alignment, your genuine self-awareness. When you understand and embody this truth, you'll realize something profound. Discipline is not a burden, it's freedom. Discipline is not restriction, it's liberation. Discipline is not punishment, it's a profound act of self-love, a commitment to finally living in harmony with who you truly are. And this deep understanding becomes your transformative turning point. The quiet awakening that changes not only how you view discipline, but how you view yourself, your life, and your potential. So ask yourself clearly, now and honestly, are you ready to stop hiding from your own strength? Are you finally prepared to let go of the illusion that you're lazy or incapable and step fully into the powerful, disciplined version of yourself you've always known you can be? Because the moment you truly embrace this insight, you'll find yourself not running from discipline, but joyfully returning to it. When you finally understand that discipline isn't something forced upon you, it's the quiet return to the truest version of yourself, every ounce of resistance dissolves. You've been chasing external validation for so long, but real freedom and clarity never come from outside. They rise silently within when you honor your true self. Discipline is the sacred pathway back to that authentic identity you've always known but often forgotten. If you've experienced these profound inner struggles, please share your story in the comments below. Your genuine experience may become the guiding light someone else desperately needs, reminding them they're not alone in this quiet battle. Finally, continue walking with me on this powerful journey of healing, awakening, and self-discovery, because the freedom, strength, and peace you've long sought have always existed right here, quietly waiting within yourself. The path isn't somewhere out there, it's within you.